Did you know you could soothe back pain with pepper sauce? Or treat dandruff with Miracle Whip? Those are just two of Joey Green's money-saving tips. He'll share more on today's show. And then, they're the White House's favorite Muslims.
They publicly brag about the relationship and the fact that they're going to continue it.
But how moderate are they?
They're here to Islamicize America.
A shocking report from Eric Stackelbeck on today's 700 Club.
Are the enemies of the United States being feted in the White House? Well, Eric Stackelbeck's going to bring us that amazing story. You don't want to miss it. But in the news, Syria is promising to defend itself if the United States attacks, and they will retaliate against Israel. In the meantime,
we wait to see. Those warnings come as President Obama considers just what kind of strike the United States and its allies may launch against Syria. Charlene Israel has the story.
The U.S. Secretary of State says there is undeniable evidence chemical weapons were used.
With our own eyes, we have all of us become witnesses.
Witnesses to the slaughter of civilians, women and children, by some of the world's most heinous weapons.
This is about the large-scale, indiscriminate use of weapons that the civilized world long ago decided must never be used at all. A conviction shared even by countries that agree on little else.
Military action by the U.S. and its allies appears imminent. The Obama administration is reaching out to congressional leaders, an action House Speaker John Boehner said must be taken before the U.S. becomes militarily involved in Syria. Russia, an ally of the Assad regime, is warning the U.S. against such a move, and Syrian officials are issuing a warning of their own. They say if the U.S. attacks, Israel will pay. In a statement Monday, a senior Syrian official said, quote, "We have strategic weapons and we're capable of responding. Normally, the strategic weapons are aimed at Israel." President Obama has not decided on military action, but military experts say an attack involving sea-launched cruise missiles is most likely. It's expected the attack would be limited, targeting chemical weapons facilities and lasting only a couple of days.
President Obama has made clear to the Assad regime that this international norm cannot be violated without consequences.
Charlene Israel, CBN News.
well, you ask yourself, what in the world is wrong with this Assad? As I understand, he's trained as a physician, studied in England, and where did he go screwy? I mean, you know, Colin Powell, as I recall, said he's a pathological liar, but I mean, this guy is, it's unbelievable. I mean, he was looked upon as a moderate, and then he has to maintain power, and this is what it takes, but he's going to lose everything because of it. Well, turning to Iran, an American pastor is facing years in prison for his faith. Lee Webb has that story from the CBN newsroom. Here's Lee.
That's right, Pat. An Iranian court has rejected the appeal of American pastor Saeed Abedini. The court refused to reduce his 8-year prison sentence. Pastor Saeed was convicted for his Christian faith. His wife, Nagma, is speaking out against the U.S. government. She said, "I am extremely disappointed that President Obama has chosen to remain silent on this critical human and religious rights case of an American imprisoned in Iran." On CBN Newswatch, Jordan Sekulow of the American Center for Law and Justice said the Obama administration can do more.
The relationship's gotten better, and that's because of a lot of pressure from a lot of supporters. The problem has been that the better has been reactive. It's not a lot of proactive work. So, for instance, we're kind of coming up with the creative ideas of what to do diplomatically, asking if that will be done, hope, and then, you know, they say they'll try, instead of a proactive government really doing everything they can to get an American out of prison.
You can see more of that interview and learn how you can help Pastor Abedini by going to our website at cbnnews.com. Pastor Abedini is not the only Christian facing persecution in Iran. At least 13 have been arrested since July, but the charges against them remain unknown. Reverend Sam Yagnazar of Elam Ministries said now that President Rouhani has expressed his determination to reopen lines of dialogue with the West, Iran should improve treatment of its religious minorities. Christians are exiled or sentenced to prison. Some are even tortured there. Pat?
I was reading today about a girl, a young girl, about 18 or so, in Pakistan. She was accused by her neighbors of blaspheming Islam, saying something unkind about the prophet. And she said, I did no such thing. That didn't matter. This group came against her. They began to beat her. She was cut, bruised, beaten. Then the police hauled her off to jail. And who knows what's going to happen to her, but she was denied any form of medical treatment. And this is just one case. Islam, ladies and gentlemen, is the enemy of Christianity. It is the enemy of democracy.
Pat, the state of Iowa may restrict so-called webcam abortions. Supporters say they provide necessary medical care to rural areas in Iowa, but opponents argue they do more harm than good. Now the Iowa Board of Medicine is taking a closer look. And David Brody has that story from Des Moines.
Iowa was the first state in the country to use telemedicine abortions. Currently, a woman can walk into a clinic, sit in front of a camera, and consult with a doctor.
He will push a remote control button, and then a drawer will pop open where the girl is. And the girl will be instructed to take out 2 bottles of pills.
The woman takes the first set of pills while she's at the clinic, and then the next set is taken at home over the next 24 through 48 hours. Throughout the whole telemedicine or webcam abortion process, the patient never once has to be in the same room as a doctor. But that soon may change.
The state of Iowa's Board of Medicine is intended to place into rule that they will no longer administer the abortion pills telemedically without a doctor present. And the reason for that is because of the increased risk it has on the woman.
14 members of the medical community and more than 20,000 Iowans petitioned the state board asking for a change in the rules when it comes to webcam abortions. If it happens, Iowa wouldn't be the first state to restrict the use of the procedure. 11 other states already require that a doctor be present while a chemical abortion of this kind is performed. The argument against these telemedicine abortions in places like Iowa has been that, for the most part, if you're in big cities like Des Moines, you don't really need them. However, if you're in rural areas in a place like Iowa, that's a much different story.
Telemedicine in general can be very helpful to be able to, help and consult a woman over video from a rural community can be very helpful, but it's just not a standard of practice.
And when a procedure like an abortion is involved in long-distance medicine over the internet, problems can come up.
Because when you go to a doctor and you have questions, yes, they say that they have somebody on call for that, but I receive phone calls on a regular basis complaining of bleeding and they don't know if it's too much, pain, just different side effects from the abortion.
Planned Parenthood of the Heartland has performed about 3,000 webcam abortions since 2008. They say the push to end the practice is nothing more than a political game. In an editorial in the Des Moines Register, the group's president wrote, quote, "Decisions on medicine should be based on science, facts, and sound evidence, not on opinions or beliefs. Politicizing the Iowa Board of Medicine destroys the concept and integrity of healthcare as we know it." Even so, the board is moving forward, letting Iowans weigh in on the issue. Both opponents and supporters of a telemedicine abortion will have their chance to speak out at public hearings in late August. But in the end, the Iowa Board of Medicine will get to make the final decision on the future of telemedicine abortions in the state. David Brody, CBN News, Des Moines, Iowa.
And David lets us know that the Iowa Board of Medicine will hold its public hearing tomorrow. We will keep you posted. Firefighters are making progress in their battle against a massive wildfire near Yosemite National Park in California. They say it's 20% contained.
We're starting to get a little bit of handle on this thing. It's been a real tiger. It's been going around trying to bite its own tail, and it won't let go, but we'll get there.
Weather conditions continue to be a challenge for the thousands of firefighters battling that wildfire. And new concerns today about the heavy smoke and ash and how it could affect the San Francisco water supply. 85% of the city's water comes from a reservoir near that fire. Massive federal deficits will be the biggest financial challenge the U.S. faces for decades. That's the finding from a survey by the National Association for Business Economics. Those economists believe that deficits will be even more of a problem in the future because of the ballooning cost of Social Security and Medicare. Those costs will keep rising as the U.S. population gets older. The new mayor of Los Angeles says he wants to stop the exodus of film and television production jobs out of Hollywood. Mayor Eric Garcetti says the city is facing an emergency, according to Variety magazine. He's been warning that other states and countries are taking those jobs because they offer better tax incentives for producing movies. One location manager for the Oscar-winning movie Argo says some in the industry are afraid to make a feature film in Los Angeles any longer. He says they are concerned that it is too expensive and too difficult. Garcetti is talking to Governor Jerry Brown and lawmakers in that state about more financial incentive for productions. And so far, Pat, even businesses from liberal Hollywood have shown they will go where they can to get the best deal possible.
Isn't that amazing? They want Obama, they want liberal democratic politics, but when it hits their pocketbook, they say, no way, we want out, we're going to Texas, or wherever it is they're going. But, you know, Lee, one industry, they had one of the most thriving furniture industries in the nation in that Los Angeles basin some years ago. And in this case, the radical environmentalists just literally shut them down. They said that the fumes from the glue and the paint and everything involved with furniture manufacturing was something they didn't want. And so this whole industry had to leave. And this state, as beautiful as it is and as thriving as it is in the grip of radical environmentalists and ultra-liberals who think taxes are the way to go. And they're killing it. I mean, it's the so-called golden goose theory. I mean, they are flat out killing it. And it's a tragedy to see. And those of you who live in California understand it, but you've got what you vote for. Terry?
Well, up next, feeling under the weather? Save yourself a trip to the doc because you may already have the cure for what ails you right at home. We're going to explain later on today's show. But first, is one of Obama's trusted advisors associated with the Muslim Brotherhood? We'll connect the dots for you, and that's next.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Wednesday, 6 countries.
I wanted to get out and see the world.
1 year, and the education of a lifetime.
God totally broke down every part of me.
And then, a crippling pain.
I could not use my right arm.
Healed in an instant. Plus, the runner-up from HGTV's Star. Design tips from Jeremiah Tasco. Wednesday on the 700 Club.
Well, the Muslim Brotherhood is under fire in Egypt. But here at home, one American Islamic group linked to the Brotherhood continues to thrive. They're under the shelter of that wonderful institution known as the White House. And they're holding their 60th annual conference next weekend in Washington. As Eric Stakelbeck reports, they even have, as I said, the ear of the White House.
Challenge to its future. Before President Obama departed for Israel earlier this year, he took time to consult with Mohammed Majid. Majid has reportedly become a trusted administration advisor on issues ranging from immigration to counterterrorism policy. White House officials have praised Majid's organization, the Islamic Society of North America, or ISNA, as a pillar of the American Muslim community. But according to one analyst, ISNA's agenda is anything but mainstream.
We also know from the Muslim Brotherhood's own documents that this is a Muslim Brotherhood front, where they state it explicitly in one of their 1991 secret memos.
Ryan Morrow works for the Clarion Project, an organization dedicated to exposing radical Islam. He told CBN News that internal Muslim Brotherhood documents captured by the FBI name ISNA as one of 29 American Muslim organizations with ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brotherhood gave birth to both Al-Qaeda and Hamas.
It's also easy to tell what the Brotherhood's agenda is because they've told us in their own documents, which is they've said that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within. And most importantly, they say they want to do it at the hands not just of the believers, the Muslim Brotherhood supporters, but at the hands of the unbelievers, us.
ISNA began in 1982 in Plainfield, Indiana. A founding member, Sami Al-Arian, was convicted in a U.S. federal court of conspiring to support the terror group Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Abdurrahman Alamoudi also worked closely with ISNA for years. He's currently serving a federal prison sentence for funding Al-Qaeda. Despite its radical roots, ISNA has expanded from its heartland base to the power corridors of Washington, D.C.
The remarkable thing is many of these founders who've been implicated in terrorism cases, named as unindicted co-conspirators in terrorism cases, are now consulting with the Obama administration.
Investigative journalist Patrick Poole says ISNA's founders were even given a tour of the White House in March 2013.
When it was closed off to the American public, they were meeting with senior White House officials, including the head of the Office of Public Engagement, who said that ISNA was the primary Islamic group that the White House does their Muslim outreach through.
It wasn't long ago that the U.S. government had a far less positive view of ISNA. In 2007, federal prosecutors named the group as an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest terrorism financing trial in American history. The focus of that trial was an organization called the Holy Land Foundation. Its leaders were convicted of funding the terror group Hamas.
The Holy Land Foundation was spun off of ISNA, and here we have the United States government going into federal court saying these are bad guys, they're supporting terrorism, they're a front for the Muslim Brotherhood, and then as soon as they leave federal court, these are our outreach partners.
That outreach includes a role for ISNA in shaping America's counterterrorism policies. ISNA President Mohammed Majid is a member of a Homeland Security Working Group on, quote, violent extremism. ISNA also participated in a 2012 review of FBI counterterrorism training documents. The Bureau agreed to purge documents that ISNA and other Muslim groups found offensive or Islamophobic. Poole says the fox is guarding the henhouse.
We see a repeated pattern from FBI reports, from Department of Justice evidence in these terrorism trials, that groups like ISNA and their Muslim Brotherhood fronts, they're here to Islamicize America.
ISNA did not respond to CBN News' request for comment. As for the Obama administration, its relationship with ISNA continues. Earlier this month, ISNA officials met with Secretary of State John Kerry to discuss the latest attempt at peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians.
The White House is not embarrassed about this relationship. They publicly brag about the relationship and the fact that they're going to continue it.
And it's not just the White House where ISNA is making inroads. The group's interfaith office meets with Christian and Jewish groups around the country. And an ISNA leader even spoke at the National Prayer Breakfast earlier this year. Eric Stackelbeck, CBN News, Washington.
Shocked? You should be shocked. But the Islamophile, I guess you'd call it, tendency of the White House grows apace, and it'll color whatever we're doing in the Middle East. We'll make some serious mistakes in our foreign policy. We will turn against our friends and turn in favor of our enemies because of the advice and counsel of these people sitting at the very ear of the President of the United States. And I was told by our producer that I misspoke. I guess that they were not doing their 60th, it was their 50th anniversary.
50th anniversary.
As
yeah.
if anybody cares.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, coming up, do you have any Jell-O in your medicine cabinet? Well, maybe you should, because it can be used to treat a common ailment, and it's just one of Joey Green's magic health remedies. We're going to show you some more right after this.
Connie and I love having cell phones because of the freedom they give us. So why would we want to be tied down to a contract?
Life's too short.
And Consumer Cellular gives us control over how and when we use them and what we pay.
And compared to our old plan, we're saving a ton of money every month.
So what really sold us on Consumer Cellular was that they're the exclusive wireless provider for AARP members.
AARP? That's a huge deal.
Was it complicated to switch? Not a bit. They make it super simple. You can even keep your number.
Oh, that's nice.
Consumer Cellular, affordable service without the contracts. Try Consumer Cellular risk-free for 30 days with free activation, a $35 value, and free shipping. Or just pick it up at a Sears store. Plans start as low as $10 a month.
Call Consumer Cellular at 1-800-393-4301. Go to consumercellulartv.com or visit a Sears store today.
Medical emergencies.
This is Life Alert. Are you okay?
I've fallen and I can't get up.
I'm calling for help right now. Sharon, we received a smoke signal coming from your kitchen. Get out now. We're calling the fire department.
Home invasion. Emergencies away from home.
I'm trying to get to my car, but it's still a ways away.
I'm right here and we'll stay on the line with you and we can contact the police if necessary.
And you can have this protection away from home for just $19.95 per month.
If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Life Alert saves a life from a catastrophe every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-498-8401. That's 1-800-498-8401. Call now at 1-800-498-8401 to get a free brochure. 1-800-498-8401. 1-800-498-8401.
When Joey Green was working for an advertising firm, he had to come up with ideas using iced tea. Well, most people would have just said that iced tea is a refreshing drink for a sunny day. Not Joey Green, who discovered that iced tea is also great for sunburn pain. It's just one of over 1,000 of his magic health remedies. Take a look.
Joey Green is a walking encyclopedia of wacky yet ingenious uses for brand name products. He says most ailments and minor injuries can be treated at home using products in your cupboard. In his book, Magic Health Remedies, Joey shows you what popular products can do double duty as simple, affordable treatments.
Well, Joey Green's with us now. And Joey, welcome back to
Thank
the
you. It's such a
700
pleasure
Club.
to be here.
Listen, I want to talk about the things in your book, and we're going to get to some specifics in a moment, but over 1,000 remedies. How did you discover these things?
A lot of research, Terry. Medical journals, contacting the companies, people email me at my website, and these are just great ways that you can save a lot of time and money with brand name products that you already have at home.
Yeah.
So instead of running to the doctor's office or instead of running to the drugstore.
Doing your copay.
Exactly. I call this affordable healthcare because it's great tips, again, to save you time and money.
Well, you have all kinds of products we're going to look at today, but I'm wondering, you know these things because you've researched it. Do the people who manufacture these products actually know that they have a secondary benefit, or are they just selling the product and they're good with that?
Usually they're just selling the product and they're good with that, and sometimes they do know, but this is just amazing stuff that people in the military have discovered, because it's American ingenuity, and it's just using what you have available. There's also is stuff your grandmother would have told you about, and then we all say, well, there's a product for that, Grandma, get with the program. But these are tips that actually do work.
We were at home last night. I was going through this book with my daughter, who's very into health and nutrition and things, and we were just having one aha moment after another as we read through this. Do you have a favorite of all the things that you've discovered?
There are so many of them. And actually, when we run through them, I'll point out some of my favorites to you.
Well, you've brought all kinds of things with you, and let's show people some of this amazing information. You want to start down here?
Yeah, well, you were talking about the Nest tea. And, if you get sunburn pain, you're badly sunburned, you're in a lot of pain. I mean, you'll do almost anything to get out of that pain. And one thing you can do that really works is grab Nest tea, a whole jar of the powdered mix, empty the powdered mix, the entire jar, into your bathtub, fill it with cool water, and then soak in it. It's the tannin from the tea that relieves sunburn pain. Exactly. So it's literally taking the Nest tea plunge. I don't know if that's what they meant by the advertising slogan, but it really does work for pain like that.
That's awesome. And you've got mustard next to that. This was a surprise to me.
French's mustard. Now, a lot of short order cooks know this tip because, they're working in the kitchens really fast and they burn themselves. They grab the mustard, they squeeze it on the burn on their hand. It immediately stops the burning pain.
Now, what is it in the mustard that
It's the vinegar and the turmeric in the mustard seed, and it just relieves the burning pain. Also, if you've got a bad chest cold, you don't have any Vicks Vapor Rub, you're in bed, just take French's mustard, squeeze it on your chest, rub it in just like it was Vicks Vapor Rub, cover it with a wet washcloth. It's something Grandma would have told you about. It's an old-fashioned mustard plaster.
Because of the mustard. Wow.
Absolutely.
That's fascinating. Well, next to that, you have...
We have the Vicks Vapor Rub. Speaking of Vicks Vapor Rub, you can also use Vicks Vapor Rub if you get insect bites. Any stings on your body, a little dab of Vicks Vapor Rub. It's the menthol, the eucalyptus.
Does it take the itch as well as the sting out?
It takes the itch and the sting away, and it numbs the pain. Also, if you want to repel mosquitoes, take the Vicks Vapor Rub, slather it on your arms, on your legs. Mosquitoes hate the smell of Vicks Vapor Rub. Also, people hate the smell of Vicks Vapor Rub.
Say,
so it keeps away pesky neighbors, in-laws, door-to-door salespeople.
No bugs, but no friends either, right?
Yeah, two tips for the price of one there. If you have back pain, you're suffering from back pain. Now, normally you go to the drugstore, you can buy the capsaicin cream. It's quite pricey. You can actually make it yourself with Tabasco pepper sauce.
Really?
And all you need are 2 tablespoons of, use Crisco all-vegetable shortening. It's all natural, the shortening, and then 1/4 teaspoon of Tabasco pepper sauce. Mix it together like I've got in this little bowl here. You've made your own capsaicin cream for just the price of Crisco.
And you rub that on your back?
You rub that just like a salve on your back. And the capsaicin in the Tabasco sauce, it numbs the pain of the nerves in the back, neck pain, knee pain, wherever your pain is. You can just make it at home.
You will be sleeping alone that night.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Also with the Crisco all-vegetable shortening, this is wonderful for preventing wrinkles. Before you go to bed at night, just a dab of Crisco all-vegetable shortening, rub it on your face just like a moisturizing cream. A lot of women swear by it. Again, it's all natural soybean oil and cottonseed oil, an all-natural moisturizer.
That's funny you should mention. My grandmother had some kind of a concoction that had a nice smell to it, but it was very much like this.
Like shortening.
That she took makeup off with and things like
absolutely.
that.
Removes makeup. Also, you can prevent diaper rash. Now, normally if you're trying to prevent diaper rash, you're using Bomex, Desitin, Vaseline.
Right.
And why you'd want to put Vaseline on a baby's butt is kind of beyond me. It's petroleum jelly. It's like spraying your baby's butt with WD-40.
Ooh.
If you want an all-natural way to prevent diaper rash, I just happen to have a little baby here, so I can show you how this works. You just take the Crisco, like so, and simply butter the baby's buns. And you might want to use a little less than this at home, but it's an all-natural way to prevent diaper rash. And it really, truly does work. Again, less than this at home.
You might not want to cook with the same container you use for the baby.
Well, as long as you're using the spatula, you're okay. Now, diarrhea is a problem. Now, normally to prevent diarrhea or to cure diarrhea, you go to the drugstore. Again, you're buying some expensive medications. All you need, coconut. Flaked coconut, 2 teaspoons of flaked coconut, eat the coconut, it stops diarrhea. And this was actually in a medical journal in 2010 in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology. They did a study and found that coconut extract was just as effective as medications in curing diarrhea in rats. And how you find rats with diarrhea, I'm not quite sure, but it really does. I've tried this at home. It absolutely works. It's quite amazing. Very inexpensive. It's just coconut. It's healthy. It's coconut.
Fabulous. Well, I'm thinking for people who have IBS or, colitis or something, that might be a real plus.
Yeah, and you want to do it a couple of times, see if it works for you, before you go to the doctor. If you have something serious, then of course you want to go to a doctor.
Right.
Migraine headaches. Yeah, migraine headaches a big problem. I don't know if you suffer from migraines.
I don't, but I have children who do.
Yeah, my daughter does as well. And the solution to migraine headaches, to help cure them, Dole pineapple. Now it can be the pineapple rings, just 1 serving of pineapple once or twice a day. Bromelain, the active enzyme in pineapple, seems to do the trick. And you can also just drink a glass of pineapple juice, whatever works for you.
So the juice would work too.
The juice would work too. It's quite an amazing thing.
Unbelievable. Okay.
Now, smokers, if you're a smoker at home, and I hope you're not, but if you are, you need to quit smoking for your health. And the problem with quitting smoking is the first week. the nicotine cravings.
People really struggle.
It's really difficult. And the nicotine cravings, the reason you get the nicotine cravings, a smoker is trying to quit, is because smoking depletes your body of vitamin C and potassium. So what you do is when you quit smoking for the first week, first 30 days, pour yourself a glass of orange juice. Just have a glass of Minute Maid orange juice here, and then add 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar. I've got McCormick cream of tartar. And you just mix that up in the orange juice and then just drink the glass of orange juice. What this does is the orange juice replaces the vitamin C in your body. The cream of tartar replaces the potassium in the body, so it reduces the nicotine cravings, making it easier for you to quit smoking. And just do this every night for the first 30 days.
And does this cover the taste of the cream of tartar?
Yeah, you won't taste the cream of tartar.
That works.
It's really quite remarkable and a great way to quit smoking.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Now, if you're suffering from dandruff at home, if you've got dandruff, a way to stop dandruff is with Miracle Whip. In fact, I think that is the miracle of Miracle Whip. And what you do is you take the Miracle Whip and just rub it through your hair, nice thick coat of Miracle Whip. And you want, now the thing is you want to let it sit in your hair for 2 hours. So what you do is you take some saran wrap, wrap it around your head, above your eyes, nose, or a shower cap. And then you just want to tune into the 700 Club for your time to let it sit in the hair. And what this does is that the oil and the vinegar in the Miracle Whip moisturizes the skin. It kills the bacteria or fungus that's causing the dandruff. And it also simultaneously conditions your hair. So you don't need these expensive shampoos or medications, just Miracle Whip.
Now I plugged this, so we got to get to this one. This is an amazing, I guess, remedy you'd call it for
smelly feet.
Who knew?
Who knew? Jello you can use, if you can just make it up according to the directions, put it like in a Rubbermaid container or a Tupperware container, soak your feet in the Jello for just 5-10 minutes. The gelatin clogs the pores, works just like an antiperspirant to stop the sweating of the feet, and it deodorises. You can use any flavor that you want. You can also just use soap and water to clean your feet, but everything's more fun with Jello.
Depends on what color you want your feet to be, right?
And also you can put it in a spray bottle, just the liquid Jello, and use it as an antiperspirant in a real pinch.
Awesome. Well, that is an amazing answer. This is everything Joey and I are talking about is in his book. It has great tips. It's called Magic Health Remedies, available in stores nationwide. It's not just really healthy and informative read, it's a fun read. So get a hold of it. Thank you, Joey, so much.
Thank you so
Great
much,
to have
Terry.
you with us.
Thank you.
Pat, over to you.
Terry, are you going to put that Miracle Whip on your hair? Will you come to the show with it?
I don't have dandruff, but I guess if I wanted to moisturize my hair, I'd think of doing that,
I want to ask Joey one question. Why are you called Joey? You look like you ought to be Joseph or something.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Pat.
Much more distinguished than that. Joey's a teenager. His name like some gang member in Brooklyn.
Well, the way I figured it, Pat, is that I was named at birth Joseph, and my mother saw this little baby, and she just couldn't bring herself to call the little baby Joseph. And then, when Jimmy Carter became president, I figured if he can call himself Jimmy and be president, then I can stick with Joey.
Exactly.
Well, we'll vote for you for president. There's some great stuff. The people would rather have you than a politician, I'll tell you.
Thank you, Pat.
Wonderful stuff. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Well, we've still had another round of Bring It On. Candace says, I live with a man who has a negative attitude. Should I move out before it rubs off on me? Well, Candace, we've got the answer for you coming up.
If you use catheters, I have some great news. You will never have to reuse catheters again. Medicare and most private insurance now cover up to $200 a month. That means you can use a new sterile catheter every time you cath. And these new catheters, they're softer, they're more gentle, and they're much easier to use. So call Comfort Medical today. They make it simple. They bill Medicare and private insurance directly. There are no upfront costs, and they deliver your supplies right to your door for free.
Call Comfort Medical now and ask for free catheter samples for men and women, free shipping, and a free comfort kit with your first order. Call 800-644-1463. That's 800-644-1463. Call Comfort Medical right now.
Call Comfort Medical today. You'll be glad you did.
Insight into today's events, news you don't get anywhere else, and inspiring stories of hope. Now you can share them with your friends. Go to cbn.com to I Saw It on the 700 Club for a fast, easy way to share your favorite videos.
Welcome to Washington for this CBN News Break. Pennsylvania is the latest state to consider non-discrimination bills to provide special protections for gay and transgender people. Lawmakers say the bill will help the LGBT community, but opponents say it will undermine religious freedom and won't be good for children. The bill protects gender identity or expression for educational programs, and that's being compared to California's new gender equality law. It allows transgender boys to use girls' locker rooms and showers and vice versa. A Christian legal group is challenging the New Jersey law that bans conversion therapy for minors struggling with homosexuality. The measure was signed into law last week by Governor Chris Christie. He said he was approving the ban because mental health groups think conversion therapy could be harmful to young people. But Liberty Counsel says the law violates the constitutional rights of therapists by blocking them from giving their patients a choice. The group also argues that the law ignores cases in which people have successfully turned away from homosexuality. Well, you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com. Pat and Terry will be back with more of the 700 Club right after this.
It's just sad. It's sad that in a matter of minutes, people can trash you and your business on the internet and get away with it. Did you know 9 out of 10 customers do an internet search before they buy? So when a former employee unfairly attacked you online, or an unhappy customer put you in a ripoff report, there was nothing you could do about it but watch your customers leave and your reputation suffer. Until now. Reputation.com gives you the power to protect yourself online. The internet can spin your life and job out of control, but Reputation.com watches over you online and improves your reputation by promoting the truth. Reputation.com protects everything you've worked so hard for, doing the things you just can't do yourself. Call now and get a free, detailed analysis of your online presence. Our reputation advisors will show you where the danger is and how much you have to risk.
Call 1-800-791-4911 for your free reputation review. That's 800-791-4911. Call now.
Wednesday, 6 countries.
I wanted to get out and see the world.
1 year, and the education of a lifetime.
God totally broke down every part of me.
And then, a crippling pain.
I could not use my right arm.
Healed in an instant. Plus, the runner-up from HGTV's Star. Design tips from Jeremiah Tasco. Wednesday on the 700 Club.
Well, we hope you got some good tips from Joey while he was with us. That was fascinating, wasn't it?
He still ought to be called Joseph. I'm sorry what his mother did to him.
I have a Joseph. We call him JP.
Yeah, but maybe Joey's more fun. You can remember Joey's.
Exactly.
Joseph's a little formal. Okay.
Well, time for some email, Pat, as we bring it on today. We're going to start this first one off with Candace's email. She writes, I live with a man who has a negative attitude. Should I move out before it rubs off on me? I have accepted Jesus as my Savior. Could this affect my belief?
Candace, my dear, I think living with a man without being married is considered fornication, and you ought to move out regardless of what his attitude is. Mm-hmm. But the answer is that negative stuff will destroy you. Negativity is a curse, and Jesus is positive. God is positive. He's the yay and amen. And you don't want somebody that's always negative. He's going to be sick. He's going to be broke. He's going to be having all kinds of problems in his job because nobody wants some negative person around them. And it'll rub off on you, and it will destroy you and your family if you ever have one. So my advice is pack your bag and leave.
Mm-hmm. This is Mary, who says, my Sunday school class was asked to give transportation for a man from a nursing home to Sunday services because, quote, his elderly father could not drive anymore. I drove him 20+ times over several months. I found out 2 weeks ago he's dying of AIDS. I think those driving him should have been told his diagnosis in a private way. A few people in church knew. I did not. I feel deceived. What if we had had an accident? Did someone have a moral obligation to tell the drivers the truth? I haven't been back to church since I found out. I'm going somewhere else until I sort this out.
You know, I must confess, I don't know all the ramifications of infection with AIDS. I used to think it was transmitted by saliva and other things. Now they say it may be sexual contact. So what you want to say if you're driving an elderly man who's got AIDS, don't have sex with him. But that's a little too simplistic. I don't necessarily think you didn't get AIDS, so unless there's a cut or some bodily fluid transmission, I think you're not going to catch it, but it's a horrible thing, and you didn't catch anything, so keep going to church and praise the Lord. You got any thoughts on that one?
Well, you know, I think you were doing a good thing by transporting this man. I have known many people with AIDS and have never felt fearful, you know, of a scenario like this. I think even if you'd had a car accident.
For that one, go back to your
church is involved.
Yeah, go back to your church. You're fine. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. This is Ronnie, who says, I've struggled with finances for my entire life. I used to be an addict, and I understood that was the problem. I turned my life over to Jesus, sobered up, joined Pledge Express, continued to pay my tithe to the church, and still find myself struggling. I trust that God will provide, but I wonder why he lets me struggle. I thought giving everything to him was the answer. He said in John 14:14, just ask and he will give. Why does he let me continue to struggle?
Ronnie, what he'll also do is give you wisdom. And one of the main thing is your spending can't exceed your income. Whatever it is, I don't care how godly you are, you'll still go broke. You need a budget. You need to know where your money's going and how it's coming in, and you need to find out ways of making money. And so ask God for wisdom and then begin to apply that wisdom. That's what the problem is. Okay.
This is Joanne, who says, my little brother's wife passed away a year ago believing there was no such thing as God. She fought courageously for 4 years with mouth, tongue, and jaw cancer right after the birth of her only son. She left behind a husband and 4 children. Once I told her that I'd pray for her. Her reply was that there is no such thing as God. She was a great, loving, and caring wife and mother. My question, will she have the opportunity to accept Jesus and enter heaven? And if not, where will her spirit go?
I know this is hard, but all I have is the authority is from somebody who's been there. I haven't been to heaven, I haven't been to hell, so I don't know. But I do know what the Bible says, and the Bible says that on earth you have many chances to accept the Lord. You know, come unto me, all you who are laboring and heavy laden, I'll give you rest. The word has gone out throughout all the earth. The heavens declare the glory of God. We all have the opportunity to learn that there's a creator and to understand him. God has placed within us the desire to seek and find him. When we reject that and we die, we're going to go to a place of darkness. Where will we be? Jesus talked about Gehenna, a burning lake of fire. He also talked about outer darkness. I don't know, because in that case it's not clear, but it's not a pleasant place. And your friend, as much as good as she may have been doing, she's condemned herself by her own action and her own deliberate choice to say, I don't want God in my life. And so God's going to say, I'm going to give you your will. You're going to die, and I'm going to give you what you asked for. And that's eternal separation from him, and that is horrible to contemplate. Terry?
Well, we do thank you for your email questions. That's all the time we have for today, but we hope that if you have questions, you'll feel free to write in at cbn.com. Well, in her Chinese village, Yu Mao was known for taking in abandoned children. But one day, she found a child on her doorstep who needed more help than she could give.
For 14 years, Yu Mao has dedicated her life to taking in abandoned children. But nothing prepared her for the day a baby girl was left crying on her doorstep with a cleft lip and palate.
I had never seen anything so horrible before.
As much as she loves to name the children she rescues, Yu Mao couldn't think of an appropriate name for this baby.
I always name the children something that they can grow into. But I knew just giving this child a nice name wouldn't save her life. She needed a surgery, and I couldn't afford that.
Yu Mao feared the child would die young. The baby had a very hard time eating and drinking because of her cleft lip and was unable to develop.
She cried every time I gave her a bottle. The milk poured out of her nose and her face turned gray. I was afraid she was going to choke to death. I've lost babies before, and it breaks my heart. I didn't want this baby girl to die.
Yu Mao prayed for help.
I put all of my trust in the Lord, and sometimes prayed 4 to 5 hours at a time. I believe that it was the Lord sent her to me, and that He would see her through.
Then Yu Mao heard about CBN, and we agreed to assist with a life-changing cleft lip surgery for the baby girl. After a very successful surgery, Yu Mao came up with the perfect name for the baby, Hai Jing, which means the beauty.
My heart melted when I saw her beautiful smile for the first time after surgery. I feel so happy for Hai Jing because no one will mock her when she grows up. She will be beautiful on the outside and on the inside, and will have a bright future for sure. Thank you, CBN. We love you.
She is absolutely beautiful, isn't she? And isn't it wonderful to know if you're a 700 Club member, you were a part of that. You were a part of making that happen. Here is a little girl who's been left because no one could help her. And when this woman took her in, as much as she loved her, she didn't have the means to have that surgery done either. And then you stepped right into the middle of that need, 700 Club members, and you gave that child a beautiful smile, which gives her hope and the future. Her entire life has changed because of your generosity. What does it take to be a 700 Club member? 65 cents a day, that's $20 a month, that's it. But when thousands and thousands of us join together, we really can impact the world. So if you're not a 700 Club member, what a great day to join with the rest of us. All you have to do is call that toll-free number on your screen, 1-800-759-0700. Call and say, I want to join the 700 Club. When you do say, I'd like to do it using Pledge Express, if you will, that's electronic monthly giving. Means your bank does all the work. You don't have to remember stamps, envelopes, mailing, none of it. And our way of saying thank you for using Pledge Express, because it helps us to save some processing costs, is to send you a Power for Life teaching. You'll get one of these every month, and we think it'll be a great blessing to you. So call that number right now. Say, I want to join the 700 Club, and I want to do it using Pledge Express. We thank you.
I'd point out one thing. Those cleft palate surgeries cost just short of $500. So that's a 700 Club
Two
Gold.
700 Club
Two
members
700
or a 700 Club
You can
Gold
fix
member,
somebody and give them hope for life. But that's what using the, native doctors and all the rest of it. Terry, I was in Beijing and I met a woman who was a skilled surgeon. She'd been working in Europe and could have commanded huge sums of money because she was so good. She came to China, back to China, she's Chinese, to dedicate herself to those children. And the work that she did on almost impossible cases, she was a brilliant surgeon, and the faces of people who were totally deformed became beautiful under her skilled hands. So we help her and we help others like her, and I think it's very important. And we love people, and you love people. All right, go ahead.
Well, coming up, the Navajo goes off the reservation for 25 years. Find out what brought him back. That's next.
A lot of it was image. People would come to our house that we had to entertain, so we kind of had a house that we couldn't even afford.
When the bills would come in and they would be past due, I would automatically get upset at Christian. We began to learn more about our finances and about giving, and that's when we decided to give to CBN.
When you become obedient with your finances, there's so many other areas in your life that God opens up for you.
Yeah, we just love it. We're Christian and Colleen Bunsey, and we give to CBN.
Walls separate people, Jose. Just like the high rates that phone companies charge you when you call internationally. So we're breaking these borders down.
So people can call Mexico as much as they want.
Mexico!
India! Brazil! China!
Over 50 countries.
Why not 60?
Now you're just talking crazy. Crazy generous.
We have 100 call centers around the world taking prayer requests and praise reports every day. At the call center, I get to offer customer service, information, and prayer. 280 prayer staff take 10,000 calls a day. Personally, I take between 50 and 70. We get just about every kind of call you can imagine, from someone sharing a praise report that they've received healing from the Lord, to someone who is desperate and they feel they need to take their own lives. We make ourselves available, and the Holy Spirit works through us to minister to people. I'm Doris Manuel. I'm a Partner Services Representative, and I work at CBN.
Welcome back. You're watching the 700 Club. We're delighted to have all of you with us. Take a look at the statistics, and what do you find? The poorest places in America are not located in the inner cities. Surprise? Instead, they're on the Native American reservations, Indian reservations. And you'll also find higher rates of drug use, alcoholism, and suicide. Navajo Will Yazzie wasn't immune to this trend until the day he wrote a letter to a former pen pal. Watch this.
Will Yazzie remembers well the Navajo stories passed down from generation to generation. He calls these stories the traditional.
Traditional is all on fears. You can't drop that. If you drop an eagle feather, it's bad luck. If a coyote crosses your path, you can't cross that. My grandparents used to tell us stories. We'd sit there all night, you know. And I remember these, you know. I remember that. That's the way I was taught.
Will grew up on a reservation in New Mexico. His family embraced Navajo tradition, which included alcohol.
It was terrible. For me, it was terrible when I was 5 years old because my mom and dad drank.
At 8 years old, Will was sent to a Navajo boarding school. When he was 12, he took his first drink. And by 15, he was an alcoholic.
Just right from the start, I passed out. And I liked that. But I did good in school. You know, even though I was drinking. But eventually I got caught. I was stealing money when I was 15 years old.
The prison doors shut behind Will many times over 8 years. He thought often of his Navajo traditions and beliefs, and the stories of his youth.
And then I remember, you know, this traditional hasn't helped me yet. I'm a traditional person. I get drunk. I dance. It hasn't helped me yet.
During one prison stay, something in a newspaper caught his eye.
It says, Linda Amix looking for a pen pal. I said, you know, I got nothing to lose anyway, you know.
So Will wrote to Linda, and a few weeks later, he got a response. Over time, they became good friends. Linda shared Bible verses and her Christian faith with Will. After 2 years of letters, Linda came to visit him.
We just say we love each other, and first time in my life I love and care for someone, and someone cared for me, loved me. That was so awesome.
Will was paroled 2 years later and they married, but he returned to drinking and gambling. He wasn't a Christian and he had no desire to know God.
I was pushing God away and I was pushing Linda away. I felt really guilty, and I think that's part of why I started drinking again, very heavy.
After only 2 years of marriage, Will left Linda.
That was the most miserable, the most suffering I ever went through.
Will went from job to job, still drinking, yet still searching for truth. 25 years went by. On New Year's Day 2005, he was sitting alone at a bus stop and remembered something he'd read.
Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man come to the Father but by through me. Right then and there, the Holy Spirit touched me. I said, God, you know, use me. However you want to use me, use me. I want to be your servant. I want to be your disciple. I want to follow you. Right that instant, he took everything away from me. I didn't think about drinking. I didn't think about drugs.
Will started going to church. He also knew he had unfinished business with Linda, and he wrote her a letter.
All I want to do is apologize for what I did to her.
I wrote back and told him I forgave you the day you left me. And so we started afresh and anew.
2 months later, after 28 years apart, Will and Linda remarried.
She accepted me back, and so coming home was a good feeling.
It was a beautiful marriage because I could trust him completely now. It would be Jesus Christ as the head of the home.
Today, Will says he sees the traditions of his forefathers for what they are.
It's just a story to me today. But then, when I read the Bible, it's Jesus Christ is the only way. And no man can convince me that there's another story to go to, you know. And that's why I wrote the book. I said, I want to help people that went through the same thing that I went through.
Will's book is entitled Total Pardon.
If God can save a person as bad as I was, he can save anybody. Alcoholic, drug addict, a thief, anyone.
Jesus Christ said it, Will repeated it, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father but by me. Jesus is God. Jesus is Lord of all. And he is love. He's perfect love. He loves you. He forgives you. He understands you. He knows your deepest longings. And he is able to fulfill. No human being can do what Jesus can do. And if you have restlessness in your heart, great peace have they that love thy laws, what the Bible says. Great peace have you. You want peace, you want love in your life, well, turn to Jesus Christ because he loves you. It's so simple. And you just call upon him and say, Lord, I want to give you my heart. I want to give you my life. Now, if you need further counseling or prayer, we'd invite you to call in. We have telephones available. Somebody's there who loves you, who'll tell you more about how you can find the Lord. So please call. We're here for you. This is the 700 Club. Well, that's all the time we have for today's program. Tomorrow, high school grads getting an education before they enter college. Hear how 1 year away from school is changing their lives. And today we leave you with these words of Jesus Christ from Matthew 17:20. And he says, quote, if you have faith as a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you. Believe it. If you have faith as much as a grain of mustard seed, nothing is impossible. Well, that's all the time we've got. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. I believe Wendy Griffith will be with me tomorrow. Our thanks to Lee and our thanks to Terry. And for all of us, goodbye. God bless you.
Wednesday, 6 countries,
I wanted to get out and see the world.
1 year, and the education of a lifetime.
God totally broke down every part of me.
And then, a crippling pain.
I could not use my right arm.
Healed in an instant. Plus, the runner-up from HGTV's Star. Design tips from Jeremiah Tasco. Wednesday on the 700 Club.
Give me that. Bye. Sure, life is busy, but I found a way to make a huge difference in people's lives. I guess you could say I'm changing the world right here from home. I bring medical supplies and doctors to people in need, and dig wells so that villagers can have clean and safe water to drink. I make it possible to preach the gospel in over 100 countries, including right here in America. And when disaster strikes, I'm there, providing food, thank you, and emergency supplies to give people hope again. Every day, CBN and I are making the world a better place. Here you go. My life is hectic, so I joined CBN through Pledge Express. My bank does all the work, and I know that my gift is being used where it's needed most. So become a CBN partner and join Pledge Express, because you can do a world of good right from where you are. Hi, good morning. Are you ready to get started?